Biden is destroying Title IX. It's April 29th, 2024, and these are your headlines. Attorney General Ken Paxton is suing the Biden administration after they rolled out a rewrite of Title IX, drastically changing the rules to protect biological men in women's spaces. As we reported earlier this month, the Biden administration released this massive rewrite of the Title IX rules. That's the federal civil rights law designed to prohibit sex-based discrimination in education. New version adds gender identity as one of those protected classes. It would allow schools to force biological males to use female spaces. If a school refuses to comply, federal funding would be withheld. Well, with Biden's new rule, the Department of Education is now turning to formally amend the Code of Federal Regulations, which Paxton says, Attorney General Ken Paxton says, violates federal law, ignores the Constitution, and denies women the protections Title IX was intended to afford them. According to the lawsuit, the new rule also infringes on Texas's sovereignty by imposing substantial pressure on Texas to change its laws and policies. It states that the rule conflicts with policies adopted by Texas's political subdivisions regarding sex-separated school bathrooms and locker rooms. It's a nice way of saying this is what school districts have decided to do. Pronoun usage consistent with biological sex in school library materials and instructional resources. These are things that schools have had sovereignty over. Well, in addition to that lawsuit, some Texas lawmakers are calling for action from the Texas House and the Texas Education Agency to protect Texans from those new Title IX requirements. Unless the court blocks this, the final rule, it will take effect on August 1st of this year. With discussions swirling in the Republican Party of Texas about Democrat interference in Republican primaries, embattled incumbent State Representative John Kuempel is apparently among those attempting to exploit support from Democrats in order to hold on to power. After coming in second place to Alan Schoolcraft, a former lawmaker in the Republican primary last month, Kuempel's facing an uphill battle in his re-election campaign. Schoolcraft has already earned the endorsements of Governor Abbott, Attorney General Paxton, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, Senator Ted Cruz, Agricultural Commissioner Sid Miller, many others. Well, an examination of voters in the March Republican primary reveals that 5% had previous Democrat voting history. For context, Schoolcraft narrowly missed that opportunity to win the election outright by less than 2 points. Adding fuel to that fire are pictures of Democrat operative Ramon Chapa Jr. showing his support for Kuempel. Now, Chapa serves as the Director of Community Engagement for Bexar County Democrat Commissioner Tommy Calvert and has worked for other Democrats in the past, like Representative Joaquin Castro and Representative Barbara Gervin Hawkins. He himself has a Democrat voting record. In a social media post, Chapa shared a photo of him and Kuempel together, saying, "It's without reservation that I support and endorse my friend, State Representative John Kuempel, for re-election." Now, when we published the story today, Kuempel did not respond to a request for comment on whether his campaign is actively courting Democrat voters. A new push from the Republican Party of Texas, however, could see Democrat interference in Republican primary elections significantly curtailed. Last week, Republican Party of Texas Chairman Matt Rinaldi announced the creation of a work group that will explore options over the next several weeks to close the Republican primary with or without approval from the state legislature, a move that nearly 73% of Republican voters say they agree with.
Is it possible to morph from a hero into a villain? I'm Valerie Munoz. Join me as I introduce you to the most powerful lobbying group in Texas, one that started as a savior, but has become the very thing they were created to destroy. Exposed. The Beast of Austin drops on April 29. You can listen wherever you get podcasts.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement has apprehended an illegal alien who was charged with assaulting New York City Police Department officers earlier this month. Brian Freitas Macias, a 21-year-old Venezuelan national, was previously apprehended by authorities on 6 separate occasions, 6 times. Each time, local jurisdictions ignored the immigration detainer handed down and they released him from custody. NYPD arrested him in January on the charge of criminal trespass and twice in April for charges related to an alleged robbery, including the intent to cause physical injury to police officers. They finally issued an immigration detainer for Freitas Macias on April 9th. However, the New York City Department of Corrections refused to honor the detainer, and they released him from custody on April 22nd. Later that same day that he was released, he was once again arrested, this time on grand larceny charges. ERO issued another immigration detainer against him, which was similarly shot down by the city. Well, ERO officers have now apprehended him as of April 24th. He's scheduled to remain in ICE custody pending removal proceedings. For more of today's stories, go to TexasScorecard.com.